Okay, so I am glad to have you all here with the lovely and wonderful Kenyatta. Um, if you can hear us on the Facebook group, if you can give us a thumbs up, we'd love to hear you and just say where you're from. But right now we have Kenyatta here, and she is a delight. She is a wonderful wellness advocate in our community. And I've heard her share her story a few times in the last few months, and I've been stunned. I mean, you are guys are in for a treat. I'm going to let her take over sharing who she is and a little bit about what she's going to share with us today. Kenyatta, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, Lita, for having me. Hi, everyone that's watching. I'm Kenyatta. And my story, the reason why I got put into or introduced to oils was actually because of my son. My middle son, he was diagnosed with autism and he was nonverbal for the first roughly 3 years of his life. And I was introduced to essential oils. And at that point, I, dabbled and tried some things. And my favorite thing was mixing the frankincense and DDR prime. And I would use that down his spine. And over time, of course, with prayer, laying hands, all of those spiritual goodies that we have, he began to speak. And so that was my cue that this is some good stuff. doTERRA is some good stuff. So from there, time passed and, he started to speak, things were fine. And with COVID, we have had an interruption in the structure of our children's lives, switching between remote and back to school. And one of the things that's very important to our son is structure and predictability. And without those things, everything kind of just melts away. And so we began to notice some behavior shifts. We began to receive, conversations with the teachers about his behaviors. And at one point, there was a mention of, I'm starting to see signs of ADHD. So I'm not a fan of labels. I'm not a fan of these, diagnoses from non-medical professionals. I'm just not. And so I would not receive that. And so what happened from there is we took it back to Eden and got that same blend again, but this time we amped it up with Intune as well as lavender. And so what would happen, I would try it, a few times, just a few times, like one thing at a time. Let's try the lavender. Okay, that seemed to be okay. Let's try the Intune. We would put that on his wrist. Okay, that really does calm him down. Cool. And then, of course, we knew that the blend on the spine would be fine. But there was one particular day that I tried them all in one day. He was really having a rough time. And I'm like, before you leave here this morning, I'm going to give you all three things because you're just going to get everything. It's not going to hurt you, whatever, you're going to get all of the things. So time passed, and maybe about a week later, we had a parent-teacher conference, and the teacher came back, and the teacher was like, what did you do on Tuesday? As we were talking about the stuff. And I just had to look back, and I was like, Tuesday. And I had been writing down, what I was doing. And I looked and I was like, oh my gosh, that is the day that I did all the things. That's the day where it was all the oils. And so I'm a crybaby. I'm crying. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the day that I did all three things. And oh my gosh, it really worked. And so her description was, he was back on that day. I was like, my guy is back. He's back. He is back. Like, that's him. Like, she was able to recognize that the person, the spirit that he really is, was present again. And it was because I did all of the things. So all of the distractions that may have come through the unpredictability, the frustration of all the moving around and not knowing, those things kind of were wiped away, and he was able to mellow out, focus, and get his work done. And so that just let me know I have to continue on with this, and I have to share these oils with other moms, other women that are interested in being the healers of their homes, and who may even want to share with others as well. I just look at it as passing along goodness to everyone. So yeah, that's my story.
Wow, that was a lot. And if I would love to go back a little bit, unpack it. So back in 2016, he was diagnosed, you said, with autism, and he was nonverbal. And so you heard about doTERRA, and you've heard about a blend from somebody, I guess. I've actually heard about it multiple places. There's actually, you can go Google DDR prime and speech and see people's testimonials on blogs that from a long time ago. But so tell me, how did you find, did someone mention it to you, or how did you even think about putting those oils together?
I just did a random search. Like, I've always been a naturalist, if you will. I always want to find the natural way to do things. And so I just did a random search, and I just thought essential oils, because years back, I was studying essential oils, not really, just studying them because I was interested. And so I'm like, maybe there's a blend that I could use. And I stumbled upon, I think it was a blog post. And I think I signed up for some mailing list, and I got the recipe and I tried it. And this woman had the same situation, and I tried it, and here we are.
So let's go back. So you're using this oil blend. And so to tell everyone what you did, you took a 10 milliliter roller ball, something like this, you can get them anywhere, Amazon, and our doTERRA, and you filled it up with how many drops of something, an oil called DDR prime. It's a blend from doTERRA. Some people say it's damaged DNA repair, but I don't know if that's the official name or unofficial. But how many drops of DDR prime did you use in this roller ball?
I think in the beginning, because he was so young, I want to say it was about 4 and 5. This was 2016. It was very few, and then you didn't even fill the roller ball up all the way.
Okay.
So I want to say it was like about 4.
Okay.
Or 5 of each, and then you fill it up about halfway.
Okay, so for a whole bottle, you would probably do 10 drops of DDR prime and 10 drops of frankincense.
That's pretty much, that's how I'm working now.
DDR prime and then frankincense. And there have been a lot of stories talking about what you're talking about with along the spine, along the nerve endings on the spine, and massaging it in, and even the arches of the feet. And people found big differences doing it just twice a day. So thank you for sharing it. So that was your first experience. I wanted to just go back, and he started talking, and then you kind of forgot about it, is what you're saying. And then until the teachers are saying and you're getting feedback, and you're thinking, okay. And I think I remember your friend Katricia, you reached out to her and like, okay, I need to get some oils now. And she's like, I have to help her now. Lita, help me get this situated. And so you got started with oils, and that's when you decided to try something called In Tune, which is another blend from doTERRA that's comes in a roller ball like this, but it's not diluted. And also lavender oil. Was that the 2 oils that you used this time around for him?
Yes, those were the 2. And in fact, over the summer break, I've been laying off on the rollerball just because, it's fine. We're not in school. But anytime there's an issue where I'm like, he could use some chill time, I go to the In Tune. And like magic, it's calming. He sits, he's still, and he's just like, okay. Sometimes the frustration, might make him a little impulsive. That goes down. It's just fantastic.
That's amazing. So can you tell us and tell everyone how you use In Tune and lavender? Just again, go over that a little bit more.
Sure. So with lavender, we have a cream, but you can use like your lotion or whatever that we use. And I just put a drop in there, rub it in my hands, and it's all over his face. So he gets the whole aromatherapy all over his face, period. For the In Tune, it's rubbing on his wrist, and he does it himself. So I'm like, hey, put your oil on. And he does this and gives it back and rubs it together. And he smells it. He's like, oh, that's oil. And so he's fine. And that's it.
That's awesome. My child and I, we like it a little bit dabbed in our temples when we're needing to focus at 3 o'clock. And then on the base of our spine, at the base of our skull, there's a little soft tissue area there. And so sometimes it's a nice place to apply oils right below the skull. So I'll put a little dab there. So I love hearing how you're using that. It's incredible. So So then the cool thing is what gave me chills and gave you chills and made you cry was the teacher who had no idea what you were doing. So what did you do on Tuesday? And you said the most beautiful thing, you got your son back. His personality, the good parts, everything, the real kid hidden behind all these layers of, what does that feel like to you as a mom?
It's just, all I can say is I'm grateful. I just give thanks that I was obedient in going to search for natural remedies. I was obedient in trying the blend. I was obedient when, you know, it was time to do all the things. Like, stop being slow with this onesie, twosie, threesie. No, just do it all. It's okay. I was obedient to move and do that. So I just give thanks for it all. Yeah.
Love it. So just to clarify, for everyone, if we're doing it all, it meant DDR prime and frankincense up the spine, lavender on his face, and Intune on his wrist. And you did that before school? And then
and at bedtime.
And at bedtime. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. And I just so appreciate your heart and taking this time and sharing, because sometimes oils can be confusing, but people can buy 4 oils and get started. Right. And like there's Intune, DDR prime, frankincense, and lavender. And I just think that's very doable. Special needs moms, I'm a special needs mom with more medical special needs. It can get overwhelming at times. So it's so nice to hear a very simple plan that can help. And if you're watching this video, if you'd like to ask more questions, comment below or reply. And we'd love to answer some questions for you in the next couple of days. So make sure you watch and reply. And then like, what is your, Kenyatta, as you're thinking about sharing oils with others, like tell us a little bit about why you're so passionate. What does this do for you to have these tools?
It is very empowering to know that, you know, God gifted us with these natural things that were on purpose. And if we seek it, it's there, you know, so be able to share that with others. Like, we have what we need. Everything, we already have it. It's just a matter of asking the right questions, going to the right people, being open to solutions that maybe you've never thought of before. It's just empowering. And I just like the process of sharing that with others so that they can receive that and understand that, hey, just be open. You never know, just be open.
Yeah. So I love that. Just be open, just be willing to try. And I think that's hard. Sometimes we're like, well, I'm not sure if it's going to work, but just try. There's no harm. And it's only good things that you're giving your kids. So thank you for sharing your story. And I just appreciate your willingness to share. I'm going to go ahead and stop our recording, but I would love to keep talking.